Alright, welcome to the 2 Hour Grind. I'm Nate, and today I'm going to be working on a One Piece Nami piece. As a, nice repetitive word there. So I'm going to be working on a Nami. Now, Nami's got so many different outfits out throughout like the whole One Piece 1,200 episodes. I don't know, it's getting close to 1,300. And then there's the 2 seasons of the live action, which have been actually pretty good. Overall, there's some changes. There's some things that the first season I was a little wonky with, and I didn't really know how I felt about it, but season 2 kind of picked it up a little bit, and it's actually been pretty good. So I decided that's what I'm going to do today. I'm ripping some One Piece, and I'm going to be drawing Nami. I really liked her. Oh my gosh. Her samurai, like, she's got like a half samurai outfit when they go to the raid. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on the word. Just what it happens, right? Onigashima. So they go to the raid. She's got she's got a couple different outfits, like lots of outfits actually. And one of them is like the kind of like the bikini with like the armor and like the big boa cape. And I was debating doing that one. Or like the one that's kind of like the samurai armor that's over top of her like her dress. She's got kind of more of that classical feel to it. And I think that's the one I chose, or I'm gonna choose. So I did a whole bunch of like quick sketches, right? I like to do a little bit of gesture drawings. That's kind of how I get my, wheels turning, so to speak, when I'm trying to draw something. Got her, tattoo in case that arm is visible. The little hair piece that she has in both outfits, doesn't matter which one. I kind of did like that, like the bikini with the like armor and the boa cape and everything. That outfit was kind of cool. She uses her bow staff that extends, so she's gonna have that. So that's what I'm kind of trying to figure out, like, what pose do I really want to put her in? And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be ripping some One Piece packs. I also will have a couple more of these One Piece rips coming up on my channel. I got pretty lucky in my area recently, and there was a couple restocks that I was able to hit. Went to a couple different targets in the area, and Walmart's, all of them basically had some adventure on Kami's Island. So 10 packs coming up on my channel soon. And I got another rip of 10 packs of the Azure's C7 as well coming up on my channel. So if you're a One Piece fan, you want to see what I hit out of these rips, come back, check them out. So 10 of those are going to be coming up as well soon. But today, I'm going to do a little mix of both. So I got 3 of the Azure C7 and 7 of the Adventure on Kami's Island that I'll be opening while drawing this picture. So got to figure out her pose still, so I'm going to be basically starting from scratch. Didn't realize I didn't have one of my good cardstock papers that I like to use for the plain white, so she's going to get a grayscale. Let's see, she's going to be... We'll go with the grayscale paper. I like to use the grayscale paper a lot. It actually adds like that mid-tone, right? So you don't have to worry about it so much when you're drawing, when you're adding that value. And then it really works well with like the white Uniposca, which is one of the last steps that I do. I'll go back through and I'll put that down. And you can even color over it after it dries. So like, you can highlight some areas and like brighten that color. So like as the color goes down and it blends in with the gray paper, you can actually do that and really make things pop out. So start with sketching, of course. I'm going to rip these open just so I have them ready. Like I said, there's going to be 7 of these and 3 of the other ones. I have not ripped any of the Adventure on Kami's Island. Oh, keep saying it. It's got Eneru, though, on the front, which is kind of cool, so kind of excited to rip these. I've had a lot of fun with the One Piece set recently. Another game, though, and it's another thing, like, do I have time to play? I'm all over the place. Too many things. Too much going on all the time. But it's a fun rip most of the time. You guys got to let me know, though. Am I doing samurai outfit or like the more sexy outfit with her, like the bikini and the horns and things? It's a tough one. I haven't quite decided. So I've been, like I said, going back and forth between the two. And I'll probably, you know, it'll be like a pack every 15 minutes or so. While I'm ripping, so if you keep an eye on the clock or you're just interested in seeing what I get in the rips, they won't be all set out like my normal rip videos, so you gotta have to catch them. But afterwards, after the video's done, you know, I will add chapters if you catch this later on my channel and you wanna see what hits there were. So how I start every drawing is basic shapes, laying out the body. You know, there's kind of like that spine line, that line of beauty that I will kind of start with, and Again, I haven't really decided like what pose I want to put her in. She does have like the bow staff, so I'm like, is she just standing holding it? Is she kind of twirling it up over her head? You know, put her in some battle poses where she's either like, one of the things I was working on a while ago was like the foreshortening. So is she like kind of bringing it up towards you and it's going to be real close, and you know, one hand's big and goes back in space, you know, just kind of playing around. So a lot of gesture, a lot of quick sketches. And one of the other things I like to do before I actually draw is kind of like plan out what their outfits look like, because I haven't drawn either of these outfits before. So that's one of the ways that I actually like get into that rhythm. Sorry, just trying to decide. Still trying to decide which one I want to do. A little late in the day coffee. Hopefully get me going for these 2 hours. Probably be about 2.5, 3 hours usually is what's been happening recently. You know, spending a little bit more time than I plan on. Now, one of the tools that I actually created myself that I like to use a lot is my own 1-point perspective stencil. So probably start throwing these up on the good old eBay if anybody's ever interested and you're like, what? So, you know, it's got the vanishing point right in the middle and you just go around and can fill out all the lines of where you want your, you know, 1-point perspective. Now, you could also use this for 2-point perspective, you know, hit it one side and move it over on your horizon line and then, you know, do it again. So really work nice when I'm trying to do, you know, those things that are popping out at you, that perspective, that foreshortening, you know. So I might try that one first and see how it goes. Might not do it. I don't know. Kind of stuck. Kind of having that little bit of that artist block right now where I'm like, what one do I actually want to do? Because if you know, something that I want to be able to hopefully sell to somebody at some point because it's original art, right? And that's kind of the idea, is draw something cool that I can like make a couple bucks off of one day down the line. So I don't think I'm going to do this foreshortening one as much as I kind of like the idea. Just gonna flip it and start again. All right. So I usually start with like the oval, oblong, egg shape, whatever you want to call it for the head. I draw the same shape like 15 times, right? And I kind of will use the average of the line eventually when I'm like finalizing the lines. going light first. Always start lightly. It's easier to go dark than it is to go light, right? And sometimes if you go too dark too fast, trying to erase it doesn't always work, all right? So always make sure you're doing that when you're drawing, any type of drawing. And the spine is this like kind of that S curve a little bit, right? That line of beauty. I've talked about it in some of my other videos. You've heard other artists talk about it. You can look it up. It's a thing. I do want to make sure she fits on the paper as well. So there is that. She does have high heels, so that's going to make it a little bit. And right now I'm just kind of laying out those basic shapes. Again, you start with like, you know, the rib cage shape, right? And then, you know, it's kind of sometimes depending on how you're looking at the person, it could just be like a square, rectangle, cube, you know, three-dimensional. So you want to make sure it has sides and a front and everything. One of the other things I do as I go, you know, there's basically cylinder, circle, cylinder, circle, cylinder, circle, right? For legs, for arms, kind of the similar idea, right? And once you kind of learn anatomy a little bit, you know, ankles get really skinny, they come up, they kind of have a little indent where the knee is, kind of one side is really smooth, the outer edge of the leg is really smooth, the inside kind of has a little bump where the knee is, and then it kind of goes up and you get a little bit of muscle in there for the upper thigh. Now, I'm kind of doing it from a side view, so the upper thigh, you know, it might look a little bit different from when you're looking at it straight on, but that's kind of what I do. So that circle is basically the kneecap, and, you know, it also helps for, you know, if you think about how it moves, anything, you put a circle down and you can kind of draw that next cylinder off of it any different direction that you want to. Elbow falls on, you know, depending on where her hand is on her hip, I mean, it usually falls right around the bottom of your rib cage, really close to the bottom of a rib cage. So again, learning anatomy or like looking at things enough, then use reference photos, right? If you have trouble coming up with like a cool pose or something, there's millions of them out there, right? There's so many people that just do that and take pictures on, you know, they're everywhere. It's about 16 minutes. I missed 1 minute, so we're gonna rip our first pack of Adventure on Kami's Island. So I have not ripped any of this One Piece set yet, so all of them are gonna be new. I'm super excited. Oh, they're putting a little pull tag right there. I always want to try to keep a pack ripped from the top. Nope, not gonna happen. All right, let's see what we get. Hopefully somebody cool. And like the art is just so dope on these. All right, so I like the Sanji, pretty dope. Again, lots of action, lots of movement. You know, the art's again. I'm making art, and I'll talk a little bit about it. You know, dig it. All right, Distorted Future is my first of the rare, followed by Rob Lucy. All right, it's a nice first pack. Pretty dope. All right, let's keep drawing. Stoked to start it off that way, right? Now, now can the rest of these packs live up to that hype? We'll see. All right, back to Nami. I'm gonna give her the samurai armor, I think. I'm not gonna give her the... I don't think I'm gonna do the bikini outfit. Even though the horns and it's really kind of a cool outfit. That is one of the things that I do really like about One Piece, though, is like how often they get new outfits and things, and even in the TV show, they've done it like that, right? They got new outfits almost all the time. It's not like a Spider-Man wearing the same spider suit. You know, granted, they got different suits after a long time, but, you know, most of the time it was like Peter Parker wore the same shirts, and even in the cartoons, it was like the same outfit every single episode. Easily recognizable, you always knew who they were, right? And that's the reason that they would do that way. So it's kind of going towards this one. It's kind of the idea, what I was going for. Kind of like, I don't know. This one's a little bit more posed back, you know, kind of throwing her hand up. This one I put it on her hip, so if I want to change it, I might change it. Where you can bring her arm out forward. keep it the way I had it originally. Alright, another thing that I do a lot, and this is just, again, how I work. Alright, as an artist, I draw, I do a lot of sketching, and then erase. This is why I draw lightly as well. I talked about the average of lines that I leave down, kind of. So as I erase that first layer, you know, there's areas that I put more line down that you can still kind of see. And then I'll try to build those forms up again a second time. I didn't like how close she is to the bottom of the paper. I had a lot of room at the top, not a lot of room at the bottom. It's, you know, again, it's just a thing that I do. It's not necessarily something that everybody has to worry about. As long as it's not going off the page, I'm usually okay with it, but I just kind of want to bring her up a little bit. a while since I've had that crazy lag this happen, but it happens. I don't know what I did. They almost go back down to where I wanted them to, where they did it originally. All right, while I pause on that and trying to figure that out, all right, so again, part of the drawing process, trace, erase, draw, erase. All right, one more time. Adventure on Kami's Island. I like to keep them as like my dividers, you know, when I put them in away in the cases and things. All right, maybe it'll work with me for a minute. Getting a little bit of lag. I have to stop the music. All right, Bartholomew Kuma. And Kairos. 2 rares in that pack. I don't know if that... Great. Bear with me, Internet. Come on. Work with me. But the music's what's effing it up and causing the freezing. It's disappointing. I imagine it's a no, because I just keep freezing. Hmm. Oh well, let it ride. Pack of Azure C7. Stealth block. Alright, we got Jinbei. Followed by Neferil Tari Vivi. That's awesome. So not bad hits out of this in my first couple packs, huh? Couple SRs. Princess of Alabasta. Alright, back. I don't know if I can keep going with like this. It keeps just freezing on me, and it's driving me a little bit crazy. But then it comes back. I don't know. So again, too much room at the top. Missed it by a little bit at the bottom. I actually, she's got long legs, and they're not quite long